Hey guys, Modelling Weekly here. This week's video will once again be one of my mini guides, this time returning to the theme of saving money in the hobby, which I know you guys loved last time. This time I'll be focusing on supplies that you can get a hold of at your local Tesco, potentially saving you a bit of cash, or maybe even serving a purpose you never knew existed. I really hope you find this useful, so let's get straight into it. Kicking this video off, we have the usual suspects that you'd expect to hear in a supermarket supplies video. These are of course cotton buds, toothpicks and kitchen roll. These disposables are invaluable to any modeller as they serve so many different roles. Cotton buds are great for cleaning out your airbrush, reaching those tighter gaps that would otherwise be tricky areas to sort out. Cutting the buds off themselves also leaves you with a nice tubular rod that is handy for a lot of scratch building situations, or for holding parts whilst they're being painted. As for toothpicks, these are your indispensable aid for holding parts in place whilst they're painted, as well as stirring paint and mixing in thinner. These can also be used in some scratch building circumstances, for example simulating logs or wooden aspects. Finally, kitchen roll is a handy consumable that comes in very useful when cleaning both brushes and airbrushes, as well as sorting out those spillages that inevitably happen. All three of these products that I've mentioned so far can be saved upon massively when buying the supermarket's own brand alternative, so keep an eye out for the price tag when buying these. Right, on to the next product. Cleaning up seam lines and gaps on your models is a very important step when it comes to creating a professional overall finish. However, dedicated modelling sanding products can be on the pricey side if you're on a budget. My tip would be to instead make use of nail sanding sponges that you can buy in most supermarkets. These will do the trick for the most part, whilst also saving you quite a bit of dosh. Make sure to pick up a variety of grits, and to go for the supermarket's own brand version. For this next item, you'll have to head over to the party section with disposable shot glasses in mind. These mini cups are perfect for mixing up new tones of paint, as well as adding the thinner that is needed for the majority of paints you'll be using. They can also be washed out if you wish, so you can use them 2 or 3 times instead of just once. Most supermarkets will sell these in bulk, so make sure to check the price per shot glass when buying them, in order to make the biggest savings. Now for an old favourite, blue tack. This age-old commodity is much loved in the modelling world, down to its huge array of uses and applications. Pair it with a cotton bud or toothpick and you have a parts holder, which can be used to assist in the painting stages that would otherwise prove difficult. It's also fantastic when it comes to masking complicated camouflage patterns, easing the overall painting process of certain builds. Blue tack can be found in most supermarket stationery sections and is often discounted when buying in bulk, so keep an eye out for this. This next one is a bit of an oddity for my UK viewers, but definitely something that is worth looking out for. From time to time, you may find that Lidl and Aldi offer a small selection of Series 1 and 2 Airfix kits at heavily discounted prices. Whilst these aren't the most jaw-dropping kits out there, you can still have a lot of fun with them and are worth picking up as a weekend build from time to time. These normally come out around Christmas time, so as I said, make sure to keep an eye out. They're normally around the £4, £5 or £6 mark. Now, when you open this video, you probably didn't expect to find an antibacterial cleaning chemical making the list, but here it is, Dettol. Highlighted by my friend Moz over at Moz6510 Models, Dettol makes for an absolutely fantastic paint stripping chemical for almost all types of paints, even tough nuts like enamels and lacquers. So if you're ever in a dilemma where a model needs to be repainted, buy a bottle of Dettol and soak the offending parts for a few hours. Next up on the list is De-ionised Water. Whilst this is less significant than a few other products on the list, it still serves a pretty useful purpose when it comes to cleaning brushes after painting with acrylics. Whilst ordinary water is not bad at all, de-ionised water has been completely purified, and most importantly it is no longer charged, so that cleaning those metallics will be made far easier. Not all supermarkets will stock this product, so you may need to try a few, but it's definitely worth picking up some if you can, and it's very cheap. Moving on to a decal related product now, as you saw in the thumbnail. When working on past models, you may have noticed that the famous micro-set solution smells very similar to regular household vinegar, and this is because it basically is. The famed decal setting product makes use of diluted acetic acid as the active ingredient, which is the type found in ordinary white vinegar that you can pick up from any supermarket. You'll need to experiment a bit with water dilution, however once you find the golden ratio, you can use the vinegar just how you would with micro-set. It's also a hell of a lot cheaper than micro-set, so it's a pretty handy little trick. You will still need a softening solution however, so do bear this in mind when using this tip. Micro-sol still has a purpose. Moving on from the condiments aisle, we return to the cleaning section, where sponges are the product in question. Sponge is a highly versatile product in the world of model making for a variety of reasons. Not only is it fantastic for a bit of sponge chipping, but it can also be used to hold parts that are drying on cocktail sticks following paint application. As mentioned previously, simply mount the parts onto a cocktail stick with the point facing outwards using a bit of blue tack, and stab the cocktail stick into the sponge. And that's it, an easy parts holder. No reason to faff around with all of those crocodile clips. Thinner cleaning sponges also have another use that will prove to be immensely helpful when it comes to brush painting acrylics. This is creating a wet palette. I've talked about wet palettes a lot more in my previous videos, so I'll pop a link in the description explaining them, but the essence of them is that they keep paint usable for much longer, saving both time and money in the long run. This next product goes hand in hand with creating a wet palette. It is of course grease-proof paper. This is an essential part of any wet palette, so definitely pick some of this stuff up if you intend to make one for yourself. Alongside its use in wet palettes, grease-proof paper is also handy when using CA glue, as it slows down the cure time when a dollop is applied to it. This means that it remains usable for much longer, allowing you to push your glue further and save more money. This next one stays within the theme of CA glue application. It's the age-old talcum powder. This product has been around for absolutely ages, so you won't have any trouble finding some in your local supermarket. It is being phased out in some countries however, so an alternative would be baby powder. The reason I'm bringing this product up is because it has an incredible ability to turn ordinary CA glue into a brilliant filling medium. Simply take your household Loctite and add some powder until it develops a thicker, filler-like consistency. This can then be applied to the gaps or seam lines on your model and sanded smooth as you would do with any other filler. Moving to the beauty aisle now, as you'll find a lot of value in makeup brushes. When it comes to weathering your models, blending is often a topic that comes up in order to achieve a nice realistic effects. However, dedicated blending brushes are often pretty pricey, which isn't exactly what you'd want given they'll be experiencing a pretty rough treatment with exposure to pigments and harsh chemicals like white spirit and other enamel products. This is where makeup blending brushes come in. They're far cheaper than artist equivalents, whilst still serving the purpose that's required of them. If your local supermarket doesn't stock any, then stores like B&M and Poundland should be your next port of call. We're now on to the 15th item on this list. Before we take a look, I'd just like to say a massive thanks to all of my amazing Modelling Weekly channel members here on YouTube. Your support is absolutely invaluable and I can't thank you all enough. If you'd like to find out more about what being a channel member entails, feel free to click the join button down below for more info. Right, let's complete this list. To cap it all off, we have a long-time favourite in the modelling community, the humble clothes peg. For decades, the product has been used to aid in the construction of all kinds of models, applying constant pressure for long periods of time that would otherwise be painful using just fingers. Whilst clothes pegs aren't ideal for all scenarios, they are great for joining fuselage halves, wings and ordnance, amongst other elements. I'd highly recommend picking up a pack. Well, that pretty much covers it. I really hope you found some of the items on this list somewhat useful, and if you did, make sure to comment your favourite down below. Additionally, if you think there's something I missed, feel free to let me know about this as well. I'm always open to learning new things. So, thank you all so much for sticking around this long, and I hope to see you around in next week's video. See you next time. Bye.